Fred, I think we're on the air.
Howdy.
Of course, this is the Cow Report, Fred.
Yes.
I'm your host, Chuck Lee, and with me, as always, is Fred, Mr. Wright Stafford.
And we got a new sponsor, Chuck.
You do?
Yeah. Fred's the best pop.
Fred's Pop?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Instead of that slop there, that Flavin slop, we have Fred's Pop.
How much something like that cost?
Well, it's pretty inexpensive, but it varies with the different places that carry it.
Now,
you have to check with the...
Now, who's producing that for you, Fred?
Well,
Caught me
at
completely
the
off guard
present
here.
time, I'm producing it in my own bathtub, and we have a limited supply, so
There it
not
is.
every place can get it.
Fred's Pop. Now, I suppose you got your own slogan, too.
Yeah.
How's it go?
Instead of drinking Flavin slop, drink Fred's, the best pop.
Well, that's real exciting, Fred. We're glad that you can make it today, Fred. So you want to put that over here by, you want to put little Junior over here by the...
Yeah.
I guess we'll have, now you think Flavin's might pick that up?
I don't think they're going to, this is a secret recipe there.
What's that thing in the bottom of it?
That's the secret, part of the secret recipe.
All right, secret recipe. Okay, well, Fred, you've been studying the results of the elections over there in South Africa. How do things look over there?
It looks, from my point of view, it looks pretty bad.
It does.
Because the communist Nelson Mandela is on the verge of being elected president.
Well, no, you know, Fred, I've studied that a little deeper, and I've noticed that Nelson himself is looking to go to the middle. Now, the South African Communist Party is pretty much riddles through the ANC.
Right, they have a majority of the seats on the board of the ANC.
But Nelson himself is trying to have a little more of a, he's trying to hold out a hand here. You know, he's in prison, 27 years himself.
Well, he could have been out of prison if he had been agreeable to not trying to overthrow the government. But he wouldn't agree to that, so he stayed in jail.
Well, over the years, Fred, though, he has mellowed, and he's trying to hold out a hand now.
Has he quit necklacing people?
Well, we'll have to see.
I know his wife was accused of that and shooting down
I know
some people.
he is separated from his wife. I saw story on there, Fred. They are separated and going through a divorce, I guess.
What do we got here?
But
Psychedelic background?
But the ANC, Fred, has some Democratic groups in it too, but I'm sure they're outnumbered. But anyway, the problem is, Fred, we can probably live with Nelson, but he's 75 years old.
Yeah.
He's not going to be around much longer leading the country. He might be
Very
able,
true.
He could very well not even finish out his first term.
Very true.
So then we might have trouble down there.
Well, you might have trouble anyway because the Zulus don't want to be part of a Mandela-ruled government.
I think they're giving them some concessions too.
And neither do the
Boer.
anti-apartheid people, or the
Pro-apartheid.
apartheid people, pro-Boer.
The Boers.
Yeah.
That's Boers.
Right.
That was part of the Boer War. Remember when the
Yeah.
Zulus fought the Boers?
Yes.
That's why they're both such hardy people, the Zulus and the Boers, Fred. I guess they learned it from each other, from the many fights they had.
Yeah.
But I think the Boers ended up on one side of South Africa and the Zulus on the other.
Yes.
And anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, Fred, if it's going to be another Rhodesia or if it's going to be, if there is going to be a true democracy down there. But I'm sure Nelson's going to win by a landslide.
Well, you know, something that, and I listened to some commentators talking about this, what is going to happen when the people who voted for the ANC find out there's going to be little or no change in their status as far as the government is concerned. They're going to be in the same spot, they're going to be living in the same place, they're going to have the same job, or they're not going to have a job if that's what they had before. How happy are they going to be
Fred,
in this situation?
No. You know as well as I do, though, that we always harp about having free elections, and from all the observations, this looks like a free election. And if the people of South Africa want that kind of government, I'm sure they'll learn from having it.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of hoopla, a lot of propaganda, and I must say that we have played into that propaganda. We have publicized and made a saint out of Nelson Mandela. And he has been far from being a saint. They don't tell about, and I had an article here, if I look through there, by a former member of the ANC who says that Mandela was known to be a communist and accepted as a communist in the ANC.
Well, whatever, Fred. It's their right to rule their own country, and you know, the United States has stepped on a lot of toes over the years and tried to tell people how to run countries. Let them run it. If they run it into the ground, and if they're allowed to have free elections to vote them out, they will.
Yes, but you know that propaganda and getting the truth out to people are two different things.
Well, even in Russia,
if you control, look what happened in Russia. For years they controlled their people, and those people could still, the communists could still take it back any time.
And they finally threw in the towel because it was a failed system, Fred.
It's a failed system, right?
Well, let them learn that.
We have been suckered into supporting them.
Okay, let them learn that in South Africa when they have nowhere to, when they have no one digging their gold and their diamonds out of the ground because socialism has taken over and all those other things that grind down the capitalist system. Once those are ground down to where there's nothing being produced, then people will rise up again, just like they rose up now because of the thumb of the whites on the blacks. And you have to admit, Fred, that the blacks are treated like animals over there.
I don't think they were treated that bad because they flooded in there. They were living before in grass shacks.
Well,
and they come in, at least they got a place to live. It might have been the greatest thing. It's better than the homeless people here in our country have.
Yeah, well, Fred,
But some people are not satisfied. They want the whole hog.
Well, they've been on the lower rung quite a while, Fred, so that's why they're doing what they're doing, so let them do it. It's not your problem to be going halfway around the world.
What are we going to do to get the tungsten, the chrome, and the other minerals that have been coming from there?
Fred, they still got to have a market for them. They can sit on them all they want. If we've got our own stockpiles, which we do.
Yeah, but how long is those stockpiles going to last?
It'll drive their price down.
You know, they've been selling off our stockpiles. You know that.
Well, they still got to have a market.
Cut the deficit.
Fred, they got to have a market for that stuff. They can
Yeah.
sit on it all they want.
Where's the market?
Well, we can always switch too. We switch from Freon and
yeah, we can go and buy from Soviet Russia. I agree with you. But will we be helping ourselves by buying from Soviet Russia, or will we be helping Soviet Russia?
If it makes us a better bomb, Fred, and they want to sell it to us, that's
just
fine.
They have lower grade plutonium and so forth.
I know, and half of Russia's polluted because of Chernobyl too.
Yeah.
But that's the American way, Fred.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, getting back to Wisconsin and Minnesota, Fred, you know what we're moving into. You know what time of year this is. We talked about it earlier.
Springtime.
People start getting outside. They get in the woods. They get in the backyard. The dogs start running through the woods and the creeks. And what do they bring home, them kids and dogs and cats?
What do they bring home? Well, some of them bring home fish.
Yeah.
And others bring home squirrels and coons and whatnot.
And
what?
What else do they bring home?
Well, I noticed there are a lot of ants out. They could bring them home.
You noticed ants in your house too, huh?
Yeah.
So
well, outside my house.
I got them inside and
I
out.
killed one today in the house.
Well, anyway, Fred, this is wood tick and deer tick time.
Yeah.
I guess there even is such a thing as a bear tick. It's probably the same thing as a wood.
Well, I don't know. That sounds like that's a little obscene. They should make them wear clothes.
Okay. Well, anyway, Fred, Minnesota and Wisconsin and some eastern coastal states have what's called Lyme disease, quite a bit of it. It's a bacterial disease.
Well, is that any better than lemon disease?
And it's transmitted to people and animals by the bite of a deer tick or a bear tick.
Gee, I had a couple of deer bit me when I was kissing them. Maybe I better be tested.
Yeah, I think you better be tested for something. I don't know what. Well, anyway,
I don't know what's happening with that background.
in the earliest stages, Fred, of people with Lyme disease, here's some of the symptoms. Now, for those people out there that have found a very small, it looks like a miniature wood tick. It's not a baby wood tick. That's the actual size of those ticks, and they're called a deer tick, Fred. And it even might look like a mole on your arm or something. I had one that was so small it just looked like a little mole, and got to pulling on it. It was a deer tick. But anyway, some of the early symptoms, Fred, are headaches, chills, nausea, fever, a spreading rash, aching joints, and fatigue. And without any kind of treatment, those symptoms will disappear.
Does it have anything to do with the things that you see? I'm seeing all kinds of funny things on the screen there. Weird colors.
Now that could be some of the side effects, Fred.
Well, I must have it then.
But anyway, you get blotches on your skin, and then it turns red, and then it'll go away. But then your symptoms will come back again, and it'll kind of settles in the joints like an arthritis, and it causes headaches, and just causes all kinds of problems. And I guess
that's why I keep out of joints as much as I can.
And I guess, Fred, even with treatment, sometimes the symptoms continue for years on.
The treatment is worse than the disease?
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you got going May 5th, Fred? I know you're bragging about the newspaper.
We got lots of things
radio
going on May 5th.
I can tell you're all hyped up here today about it. You're
Yes.
getting excited, so you might as well tell the viewers before I know you can't hardly contain yourself, so go ahead.
The John F. Kennedy Council 1257, the Knights of Columbus, in cooperation with the Eau Claire chapter of the American Family Association, will sponsor the Meet at City Hall National Day of Prayer, 204 South Farwell Street, Eau Claire, Thursday, May 5th, 12:20 to 12:40 p.m. The public is invited to attend. Now, Terry Hepner will sing the Star-Spangled Banner. Past VFW Commander Arthur Schultz would lead the salute to the flag and Pledge of Allegiance. Commander Ralph Eli of American Legion Post 53 will pray for POW, MIAs, and veterans. Anita Neuheisel, Eucharistic minister and a leader in the People of Praise prayer group at Immaculate Conception Parish, will pray for respect for life. Pastor Gordon Thorpe of Grace Lutheran Church, Pastor Marvel Juvie of Harvest Time Assembly of God, Pastor Eddie Thomas of the Church of the Nazarene, and Pastor John Vincent of Calvary Baptist, and Pastor John Wells of Chapel Heights Methodist will also pray. Now, in the evening, there will be a rally at Christ Church Cathedral, South Farwell and Lake Streets, Eau Claire, May 5th at 7:30 p.m. to continue the prayer for a moral rebirth of our nation. Dean Father Scott Kirby of Christ Episcopal will pray the invocation. Fred Stafford will speak, introducing Pastor Eddie Thomas, Pastor Terry Matlock of Tabernacle of Praise, and also Jerry Schmidt, President of the Marshfield chapter of the American Family Association. And Father Myron Minan, the chaplain of the Knights of Columbus, John F. Kennedy Council, will say or will pray the benediction.
Huh. Sounds like one of them big meetings, Fred. Now, where exactly is that? Now, the City Hall is right here on, what street is that?
That's Farwell Street, 204 South Farwell.
And it's right across from the Holiday Inn, right?
Right.
Downtown Holiday Inn.
That's very true.
And that's this Thursday, as opposed to Thursday after that. That's this Thursday.
Yes.
And then where's this group, where's this thing at that evening?
South Farwell and Lake Street in Christ Church Cathedral.
Okay, now what's going to be the topic over there? What's going to be going on?
Well, they're going to continue the prayer session that was held earlier.
And
I think it's going to be an excellent time to get together and pray. And we certainly do need a moral rebirth in our country.
Now, the Christ Church Cathedral, where exactly is that again?
South Farwell and Lake Street.
That's the big stone church on the corner there.
Right.
And now, will there be coffee and cookies or anything afterwards?
Well, I don't think that has been planned.
So will you be right in the narthex or what?
What do you mean?
Well, you'll be right in the narthex, or what? What do you mean?
Well, we're going to continue the prayer session that was held earlier.
What? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Will you be right in the main,
Well,
or down in the basement?
I think we'll be up in the main part of the cathedral.
All right.
Possible we might be in another room if we do not have a fair-sized number of people attending.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. So then, that's this Thursday, Fred. We want to
May
make
5th.
Now that's turned into quite an affair, and I know you're getting crowded down there at the City Hall. Now, what's your plans for next year? Because there was
Well,
some talk about moving it, wasn't there?
We may move it to the courthouse. And the reason, if we do move to the courthouse, it'll be because of the traffic noise on South Farwell, which interferes with the concentration and the prayers.
Now that plaza there is getting pretty full, though. I've been there the last few years,
Yes.
and pretty much packing that out in there. You don't have much more room to grow there,
Right.
so you have to think about that. Well, we're going to take a call here, Fred. I think somebody wants to talk to you. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
How you doing?
All right.
I'm just curious what this cow stuff's all about. What you guys talking about?
This is the cow program, the cow report,
Okay.
and it's been on for years. This is the first time you've seen it?
Yeah, I'm just new in town here, and I just kind of turned on the switching stations, and I saw the show. I was just kind of curious. I just saw the cow in front of the picture. I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I got kind of in the middle of the show here.
Well, that's the flying cow.
Flying cows, they're cool.
Yeah. And anyway, you just...
I haven't heard much about. You've been talking more about other things, and that, like, how is the cow in the market these days?
I think, what are cattle now, 40, 45 cents a pound, Fred?
I'm not quite sure.
Well, you can get the cattle report at 5 on Channel
Okay.
13.
I thought President's expert or something over there, and I thought he'd give you an answer, but I guess not.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we can get that off the ticker there. We'll give you the cattle futures there.
All right.
Fred's up on that, but
No, I'm
yeah,
not.
you're in for a treat. This is the cow report. We've been on for what now, Fred? 20, 25, 30 years?
No.
Oh,
A little less.
Okay.
A little less.
Thanks a lot, guys.
all right.
Have a good one.
Thanks for calling. Well, we have a new viewer, Fred. It's always nice to get a new viewer on there.
Yes.
And, well, Fred, now that you've done that, and you see there's going to be plenty of room now at the cathedral that evening.
Yes.
And is this going to be kind of a mixture of patriotic and Christian and moral
Yes.
issues, or exactly what are you going to be dealing with there? There's got to be a subject to it.
Yes, there is.
What are you doing with your mic there now?
It fell off.
All right. So what exactly are you going to? Don't cover it up.
Or not.
There. So what exactly are you going to do there then?
Well, to begin with, we're going to pray. Then Pastor Eddie Thomas is going to speak. Pastor Terry Matlock will speak. And I think they will be calling on Christians to unify. We have a problem in our country, and we need that moral rebirth. And we as Christians have to do something about it. We can't ignore it because the problems don't go away. They just get worse. And they are getting worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, Fred. Well, maybe somebody here wants to talk about that. So we'll take a call. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just called. I've watched the show. I like the show, guys. Fred talking about Nelson Mandela being such a communist down there, or
Yeah.
Yes,
it was a free election. It's what the people wanted.
right.
They needed change. And if you look at what's been going on, you hit it right on the head when you said the white folks had their thumb on the black population down there. We
Yeah.
had to let, you got to give majority rule. And that's the democratic way. And as far as all their natural resources, you're talking the diamonds, gold, it will always sell. As long as there's demand, they'll have no problem getting rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do have to have a market for it, and if you'll study South Africa a little closer, Fred, you'll even see where they had separate drinking and separate restaurants. It's just like the 30s down in Mississippi and Alabama, even into the 50s in the south of the United States. That's the way the whole country of South Africa has been since the late 40s.
And that's not a real Christian attitude, is it?
No.
Well, I guess they woke up in time because there could have been a major civil war. There has been some bloodshed.
That's what I was fearing was how bloody was it going to get. And now with the free election, hopefully this will, ease the tensions. They can give it a try. If it doesn't work, they'll have, more elections. They got a long way to go, of course.
Hopefully, though, we'll all come to the rescue if they demand elections down the road and they put up just one candidate like they did in Russia for 70 years. Hopefully somebody will catch on to that, too, and call for a change in that, if that's what happens.
That's correct.
Because,
thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, sure. What do you think about that, Fred?
That's interesting. I can see the point that he has there. I do think that our media has not been fair in the presentation of this issue. Very one-sided.
Well, on a lot of different things, Fred, but it's a big country down there. It's, what's it, 3 times the size of Texas or something? I don't know if it is that big or not, but it's a big country, and
Good size.
there's quite many millions of people that weren't allowed to vote for about 40-some years.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they must have had voting rights before that, Fred.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a call here on line 2, and go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
I was wondering how you felt about the Michael Fay incident. The young man who's going to get caned.
Over in Singapore?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. We'll let our expert on Singaporean literature and philosophy, Fred Stafford, speak to that question.
I believe that the man has to be punished. He broke the laws. That's the law. They cane him over there. Maybe if we had something like that here, we wouldn't have so much crime in our country. You have to be punished for what you do.
Yeah, I agree. All right, thanks.
Well, I'll give you an example, Fred. Back in the 6th grade, a group of us kids on the playground, one of them threw a snowball with a rock in it and hit a kid in the face. Well, the principal rounded up about 10 of us. Back in those days, everybody was guilty until proven innocent. So he rounded up 10 of us, took us in the principal's office, took a big old wooden paddle out, and he commenced to beat all 10 of us with that wooden paddle, and he gave us a pretty good beating. But that was, what do you call that? Not martial law, but capital punishment.
Yes.
So there was capital punishment in the school system. It wasn't harsh, but I was innocent, Fred, but I took 10 swats with that paddle, and it built character, Fred. And as you can see, I'm still here today. And look how we turned out. We're on TV, Fred.
Warmed the seat of your pants, too.
I couldn't sit down for several days, and I was innocent as could be, but the guy, he still did it. But anyway, so that caning over there, it sounds gruesome and everything, but if they let the teachers get the paddles back in the school system in the United States, possibly be less kids bringing guns to school and stuff, Fred. They might be a little more disciplined.
It reminds me, and I went to a parochial school, a Catholic school, for 4 years, and I know that the last sister I had in the 4th grade, Sister Frederica, she liked to pull my ear. It seemed that anything, if I took a deep breath or turned my head in class, she was up there pulling my ear. If she wasn't doing that, she got my knuckles there and hit them with a ruler. I'm telling you, not only did it hurt, it took the skin off them.
Huh.
But I made sure that I didn't do anything there, but of course that may have been causing, I don't know what, fright or something in the classroom, fear. But I certainly didn't step out of line, I'll tell you that.
I wondered what happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling about the issue of the paddle.
Yeah, which one?
What you just talked about, the caning bit. I believe that it's a good point. I mean, I remember myself being in high school, even in elementary, and they used to get a whack on the rear end if I did something wrong when I went down to the principal's office, and I didn't turn out too bad. I mean, I think you got a point there.
Well, if you think about it nowadays, a teacher can get a couple years in prison if he tries to give a kid a swat.
Yeah, well,
lose his job and everything else.
That's just like the same thing with like the parents. I mean, they'll put them in jail for swatting their own kid on the rear end, and I don't believe I believe in punishing a child. I mean, I'm sorry, but I didn't turn out too bad. What the hell,
Well, in Singapore, streets are very clean over there. They don't even allow people to chew gum in Singapore.
I mean, the crime rate in this country is just like
If you chew gum, you got to chew it in the confines of your own house, Fred.
Yeah.
And if you get caught even throwing a gum wrapper on the streets, you're going to get in trouble. You can eat off the streets of Singapore, Fred.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to eat off them, but
But
Hey,
you know,
Fred, wake up.
yeah.
but the caning over there, I'm sure the guy won't consider doing any of that. What do you call it, Fred? Graffiti anymore.
Well, he
Graffiti,
sprays cars and whatnot. Yes, and that is a costly thing to get rid of on your car once it's been sprayed.
You know, perhaps if he'd have watched our show, Fred, he would have learned some moral underpinnings and footings that would have kept him out of that trouble.
Well, I think he's
Good point there, Fred.
just a spoiled kid. Some parents don't discipline their kids, and their kids have no respect for anybody else except themselves. They feel like doing something, they go ahead and do it, regardless of the consequences, because they're not going to be punished.
Hey, Fred, close your legs.
Okay, well, thanks, caller. We appreciate your call. And yeah, Fred, that caning is, it sounds real scary, but I'm sure that it does act as a deterrent to other people that would think about doing that type of behavior, at least in Singapore.
Yes, I agree with.
So, what have you got there for us, Fred?
Well,
before
I
we
got
take another
something
call?
here from Focus on the Family. April the 14th, they aired a interview with, and that was on radio, with Dr. Philip Johnson, a respected professor at the University of California, Berkeley, author of the book Darwin on Trial. Now, Dr. Johnson devotes his spare time to debunking the theory of evolution on campuses across America and has debated scientists in the most hostile of environments. And it goes on to say, I admire him for having the courage to espouse politically incorrect ideas, especially from within the state university system. In that interview, Dr. Johnson focused on the fundamental errors in Charles Darwin's profoundly influential book, The Origin of the Species, first published in 1859. Darwin was puzzled by the fact that Paleontologists had been unable to locate fossil remains of the so-called transitional forms. By that he referred to those in-between creatures that should have made an appearance if the species really involved, such as half birds or half men. He asked theoretically, why do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? The question troubled him for years and led him to conclude, I can give no satisfactory answer. Now, after more than 135 years of exhaustive research, the transitional forms have not turned up. They don't exist in the geological record. This and other convincing criticisms of classical evolution has made it difficult to understand why so many intelligent and highly educated men and women still hold a position that is not supported by verifiable scientific data. You know, I used to believe that when I was in school because we were taught about evolution, and I thought there was such a thing.
Evolution, huh?
I could never prove it, though, in all the books that I read on the subject, and I read a number of them.
Evolution. Well, Fred, you know, if you think about it, evolution, how come humans haven't evolved into something higher or lower since they've been on Earth? If there's such a thing as evolution, where are they evolving to? They seem to be devolving
Yes.
into chaos and anarchy. So where's the theory about all that?
I don't know. I don't think there is any. Can't prove it.
Well, we're going to take a call, Fred. There may be somebody out there that wants to talk to you about that issue. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
I think that humans evolved, but the Catholic Church teaches like two different ways because, the Catholic Church says that God put Adam and Eve on the earth, and science teaches us that many different things evolved before they, and I think it's kind of confusing the two different ways they have.
They can't prove the evolution, though. And I used to believe this, to be very frank with you, and I read a number of books, and this goes back 20 or more years ago. And gradually, when nothing came up, no transitional form was proven to exist, I changed my mind about evolution. I now believe that what we were taught in the Bible is true.
Yeah.
So the evolution, Fred, in your case, was in your mind.
Well,
You evolved into the truth.
yeah.
There's so many loopholes and so many gaping holes in the evolutionary so-called record.
And I never realized that when I was going as a strong supporter of it because of what I read, and then I looked back, and there was nothing there.
So what the scientists have done for what they can't prove, they just tack a few
It's a
billion.
theory.
They tack a few billion years on it and say, well, it happened between 10 million years ago and 6 million years ago. That's when the monkey evolved into the man or whatever. So
Yeah.
they just throw out 4 or 5, 10
Well,
billion years.
if they can prove it, they have to come up with the transitional form, or forms.
Well, show me where man has evolved into anything.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Not in this world.
Man reproduces men
Some-
and women, and
Now, species have
animals reproduce animals.
species have adopted to their environment, though. Even
Yes.
humans are adopting and
Yes.
evolving in that way. But the physical, like I haven't seen you growing wings because we fly a lot, Fred, or I haven't seen you growing webbed feet because you swim.
No, I don't swim very much.
The man itself isn't evolving. So thank you, caller. We appreciate those calls out there, and here on a beautiful Monday afternoon in the beautiful L.E. Phillips Downtown Memorial Library, Fred, and you just happen to be on the L.E. Phillips board, and I know you're going into a new building program. Have you decided whether to build out over the downtown or the underground parking, or are you going to fill that in, or what's going on there?
I can't tell you that as yet.
Oh, it's a secret.
I don't know.
Huh. Okay, Fred. Well, we're going to move on here a little bit. You can still call in with your questions or statements about any issue, because this is an open forum here, and we will deal with any issue because, after all, Fred here is an expert on many different areas.
I'm not an expert on
And of course, you know, there are other personalities here on Public Access, Fred, and once in
Yes.
a while they call in. Before we get to that call, Fred, I'm going to switch to government waste, and this is from the book, The Government Racket, Washington Waste from A to Z. What you don't know about government spending is costing you a fortune. This is your book, Fred.
Yes.
But one of the things that it tells about in here is government airlines. Now, you know, there was a flap over John Sununu hopping on planes and running all over the
Yes.
country a few years ago, and I think he finally left Washington because of it. Or maybe he left because Bush lost, but anyway, they have what's
He left
called
before.
the 89th Airlift Wing, Fred.
Yes.
And it's one of the most wasteful and expensive airlines in the country, and it's based 11 miles from Washington, D.C., and it transports government bureaucrats, congressmen, senators, military brass, from cabinet people and army generals down to lowly staffers on House committees, all over the country and the world, free of charge. It is, as the 89th advertises itself, the airline of the VIPs. And Fred, you wouldn't believe how many people that the taxpayers are paying for. The 89th has 6,000 employees taking care of the 25 planes plus 19 helicopters. And it's the least busy airline in the world. Aside from the helicopters, the planes make over 800 flights a year. The government refuses to release figures on how many passengers they fly a year, but one Air Force spokesman estimated a total of 10,000. This means that most planes take off nearly empty. So the next time you see your congressman or one of the congressman's staffers one day in Eau Claire and the next day you see them on TV in Washington, you know how they're getting around, Fred. It's coming out of your pocket.
Sometimes you're right.
Yeah. So we're going to take a call, Fred. Maybe the caller will have something to say about that. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, you got the common man here.
Now,
Howdy.
Hi.
we've established that we can call you common, can't we?
I think so. That's okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
That's sort of that's my stage name. That's good enough.
Well, as opposed to calling you Mr. Man.
Yes.
We got Mr. Right here, so okay. Common, what's on your mind?
Well, first I'll kind of comment on that interesting background you got there. Kind of reminds me of some of those old outer space movies or something, you know, with like Star Trek or something, you know. all the special effects and all that.
Yeah, that was designed, and it's a public domain computer software. And what I did was focus my camera on my computer monitor, and then taped an hour of that, and it just automatically creates all these different designs. I don't know how long it'll go on. I had to do it about 3 hours worth to get it down to an hour, but there's even music that goes with it, some 60s music, and we couldn't figure out exactly how to do that. Play it kind of real softly in the background, maybe so the shows will have a little of that music in the background playing, but that's how I did it. That is kind of colorful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It
It creates a different look.
and it kind of blends in with our flying cow there,
Yeah.
flying across the screen with the American flag, Fred.
Yes.
Looks like he's kind of in outer space there himself.
Well, Common, I know you're trying to boost your ratings, so when are you on again?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to try this live stuff myself here in about 5 days. What is it? Yeah, on the 6th.
I'll tell you,
Only half an hour, but
it's a lot more work
you're
than you
welcome to
think.
call if you can manage to get in. I don't know how many people are going to try and call me, but you never know.
It's very complicated and high tech, and we're trying to learn it down here, but it takes a while to learn this stuff.
Yeah, it'll probably take me a while to figure out how to use the phone. I don't know. I'll just I'll just try to have as much fun with it as I can, see how it goes, and if I like it, there'll probably be some more. If I don't like it, I'll probably have to think it over about doing it in the future. But just
Okay, Common, well, what's your profound statement for the day?
my profound statement. Well, my profound statement.
How about that go-kart track out there?
The go-kart? You mean the Red Cedar boys?
The one out there by Menards. I noticed they got that back in
That
business.
deal. Okay. Well,
Back in business. You think
uh,
they'll get any traffic out of that?
I don't know. I took a ride in one of them things out there for the fun of it. One of those that they have out there, their own.
I mean, these racing guys now, if they really get with it, they can get up 50 miles an hour.
They go pretty fast. They go a lot faster than the ones that they
Uh-huh.
just let people ride around on for fun. I rode one of those. But
Back in the 60s, that was a big-time sport, and a lot of people spent a lot of money. I remember in the early 60s, a friend of mine was on the racing circuit. He was just a teenager, but we went to a race once, and one of those sprockets in the back disintegrated on a guy and went right through his back. That's the last time I thought about riding go-karts.
now that's the only thing about them. They're out in the open like that. That's
Yeah.
just so good. You ain't got nothing around you. Like when I had my race car, well, I've got fenders and doors and all kinds of protection there, in case somebody run into me or something. So no, they had those out on the Rice Lake racetrack. Guys tried them several years ago, but I guess it didn't catch on very well. I don't think they're doing them anymore. But and that was kind of interesting too, trying that on a dirt track yet on top of it. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, maybe you can deal with that on your show.
well, there'll probably be more racing stuff eventually. But right now, we're still kind of concerned about this, about the Red Cedar deal there. I don't know if you heard, but the big court case is about that
Oh, yeah.
bill is coming up about a year from now, and
Yeah.
wouldn't be, I don't know. Some people don't. Some people are they're thinking one way, and some are thinking the other. But mostly everybody I know, including that has any legal knowledge or whatever, even more than I do, they kind of see the track as probably being this might be the last year they run.
Well, we'll be watching that real close. I want to thank you for calling in, and exactly when is the date you're on again?
Well, like I said, it's May 6th, and it'll be about on this. It'll be almost the same time. It starts at 2:30.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can come down and help you. Roy's here helping a little bit right now. You know Roy.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think he'll probably be he'll be screening my calls or something. I don't know.
One day I walked in here and he was on the set with Fred, and Fred didn't even know it was him. The show had started without me.
I know it.
Couldn't believe it. I had to
I know
chase
it.
the imposter off the stage.
He's better looking.
Oh.
Well, he's full of surprises.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for calling in, Common.
Okay,
And we have ascertained that I can call you Common.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was the Mr. Common Man, Fred.
Yes. It's nice of him to call.
For those who don't know him, it's Mr. Man.
Yes.
The rest, to his friends, it's Common.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Finishing off on that airline deal, Fred.
Yes.
The United States also operates a second airline. That's the 375th Airlift Wing out of Scotts Air Force Base in Illinois. The 375th has 77 small jets, Lears, Beechcrafts, and Gulfstreams, and does have a very legitimate mission. Last year it successfully flew more than 70,000 servicemen on medical flights. But the other half of the mission is like the 89th, is for less exalted passengers. It has facilities at 12 Air Force bases from California to Maryland, and in addition to flying military people, politicians, and bureaucrats around the country, it takes almost everyone except regular taxpayers on a free space available basis, which is almost always. That includes traveling for personal reasons, even going on vacation. So Fred, and politicians out there in Washington have been sucking on the cow's hind tit for many a years, Fred, and they got so many secret and hidden freebies and stuff, Fred. It just boggles the mind. And this book is an inch thick of government waste.
I've ordered his new one.
Well, we got a call here, I think, Fred. We'll see what we can do about that. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, what do you think about Memorial Baseball this year?
Which one?
Eau Claire Memorial Baseball this year.
How they doing?
Pretty good. I hear Kelly Warner,
Yeah?
the junior, he's just a heater.
He is. What's he, a pitcher or what?
Yeah,
What kind of records he got?
he can pitch like high 80s, low 90s. He's got like 2 no-hitters already.
Huh.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Let's come out there and watch him. When's the next time he's pitching?
Maybe this week sometime. I'm not too sure of the date though. Carson Park, I think, but I'm not too sure of the date.
Maybe you can find somebody to go out there and film him pitching. He might be something like that 10 years from now when he's playing in the majors. That old film clip might be worth something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess he's a lot of scouts have been watching him too.
Huh.
Well, that's good.
Was he a senior?
No, he's a junior.
Well, he might be quite the thing if he can stay healthy. They're quite the professional.
Yeah.
You gonna go to college?
Yeah, probably. I think he probably is. Yeah.
Now, are you ready? Are you in relation to him? Well, Fred, we have a little mix-up there on the lines. I think we tapped into another. Must have been cable problems. We tapped into another program. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering what you guys think of the recent political changes in South Africa.
Which part?
Well, with Nelson Mandela getting elected and all that.
Have you heard of any of the results yet today?
No, I haven't. I saw, I think this morning on the Today Show that his political party was in the lead for the race, but that's all I know.
Yeah, I'm sure with an overwhelming black majority that Nelson will be the next president.
Are you in support of him?
Well, he's won fairly and democratically, so we have to give him a chance. You know, that's the way democracy works.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have to prove himself now because there's many people over there thinking that he's going to just produce all kinds of miracles, and once you get in there and start rolling up your sleeves, you find out that this stuff sometimes just these reforms will just go at a snail's pace, and so hopefully everyone will be patient, just so people don't start getting murdered over there.
Yeah.
But other than that, we'll have to give democracy a chance, Fred.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for calling. Well, Fred, I've got a little piece here from June 29th, 1992 on the New American, the front cover. It shows a picture of Nelson Mandela standing beside Fidel Castro. It's another great socialist country in the world. Anyway, the statement was from Nelson back on May 10th, 1990. We also pay tribute to the People's Republic of Cuba and to Comrade Fidel Castro. In size, the People's Republic of Cuba is a small country, but there is one thing where that country stands head and shoulders above most of the other countries of the world. It is its love of human rights and of freedom.
Yeah.
I didn't know Cuba was a bastion of human rights and freedom.
I don't think that's quite true. as far as Cuba being anything. It's a slave nation.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll try to take a call on line 1 here and see what's going on. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
I wonder what your guys' feelings were about campus cops carrying guns.
Well, you know, did you watch the old Barney Fife show?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
You know, what was that, Fred?
What?
That show. Oh, the Andy Griffin show. Barney Fife.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
They gave him a gun, but he only had 1 bullet, and they made him keep it in it. The sheriff made him keep it in his shirt pocket, so he wouldn't shoot himself in the foot. Now, if you got a bunch of Barney Fifes running around there on campus, I would suggest that the student council there or somebody leans on them guys to just let them have 1 bullet and make it a rubber bullet and let them carry it in their pocket or in their shirt pocket.
Do you think that'd do much justice, though, if the rest of the people know that it's just a rubber bullet?
Yeah, I'll tell you. If
There comes times when you need more than 1 bullet.
Hey, a rubber bullet can go right through you too, but it'll do less damage than a hollow point.
Yeah, but there's times where you're going to need more than 1 bullet.
Well,
That's true.
let them have 6 of them, but let them be rubber. I mean, we're dealing with 18, 19-year-old kids that sometimes get carried away, and some gung-ho cop out there fresh out of the academy might want to blow somebody away because he hasn't had the best psychological evaluations.
Yeah, but there are some veteran cops in the force also over there.
Well, let them have rubber bullets and mace.
What do you feel about it, Fred?
I think that a policeman needs to have the means of protecting himself, and to arrest somebody else. Who knows what you're going to find there on the campus. You may find somebody has a gun too, and you need one to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay.
you think lead or rubber, Fred? Thanks for calling.
Well,
caller.
I'm not. I have no opinion there.
Well, they had to give it a try.
Right.
I don't, you know, kids get pretty wild, Fred, especially in
Yes.
the springtime,
Yes.
and they can do some crazy things that, you know, could cost them their life with a
Right. I agree with you.
45, or they're going to give them Glocks.
Well, we have kids blowing away kids these days.
Yeah, but you haven't heard much of that on campus over here.
No, not here. Thank
Go
God
ahead,
for that.
caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'd just like to say it. This
Yeah.
show rocks so much ass. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, Fred rules, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's cool. He's so cool. Yeah!
Yeah, Fred, they really like you out there.
Yeah.
I know you've been having to sign autographs and stuff. And I know you hate to do that, but now with your new product there, you're just going to have all kinds of excitement going on. So we'll take a caller on line 1. Thank you.
Hello. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, what do you think about the pack this year? Is my
Well-
sports fans at all, or
I hope they're going to win the Super Bowl.
what was that? Oh, yeah. You guys, what do you guys think about
Who's
Jared
gonna,
Taylor, the new lineman?
who is it? Rip?
Well, I think they're trying everything they can to improve, and they're going to be a contender.
Oh, what was that? Speak English, would you?
I say they're
I
going to be.
understand that.
They're going to be a contender. They're getting some new players there who have a lot of ability,
I agree.
and
Yeah.
that may ignite them and carry them to the top.
Ignite, I know, like fire.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to that lineman that they spent so many millions for and he only played a couple years?
Tony Mandrich?
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
He's out raising cattle somewhere, I think. He's overweight. They cut him.
Took his money and ran, huh?
The funny thing is that he got a couple tryouts this summer.
He did.
Yeah.
Where at?
He was at Miami, the Dolphins,
Yeah?
and he was over trying with a CBL team.
Didn't he get hit in the head or something?
Yeah, some guy threw a rock at him. Going right in the melon. He's kind of like mentally psycho now, I guess. What the hell, though?
Yeah, he could have been maybe it's from the steroids, too.
Yeah, that's another issue. Those steroid things.
Yeah.
Steroid stuff.
Well, have you got any,
Your head up a little bit.
Yeah,
Your head backwards.
specific question for Fred?
Yeah, I guess so. Who else is going to compete with them?
With the pack?
Yeah, in the division. What, the Bears or the Vikes? Yeah, Warren Moon for the Vikings.
Well,
He is.
Yeah, did you know that?
How much did that cost him?
$3 million. Fred, it was like $3 million, I think.
that's
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Every few years, the Minnesota Vikings go off and on some tangent, and they get somebody like Herschel Walker, who was
Yeah, no.
he was over the hill when they bought him, and he just came up here and took his money and
Took the money and ran.
Yeah, and he didn't
The
do
man out
nothing.
of hell.
Didn't do nothing besides draw. I'm a Vikings fan, and he pretty much destroyed that trade. Pretty much destroyed the Vikings.
I heard him for like 4 years. That trade hurt him.
Hey, we're still giving away picks from the from all of the what do you call it, Fred? We're still giving away future players because of that Herschel Walker deal.
The Vikes had a good draft this year, though.
Well, that's
Yes.
good.
They had like one first-round pick and two first-round picks and a second-round pick.
Yeah. Well, you better get your tickets early for that game then. Warren Moon against, is Fave still a
Good
quarterback?
favor.
Is he still a quarterback?
Yep. First game of the year.
Huh.
They played at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down there, Fred.
Should be interesting.
You don't season tickets, do you?
No, I'll watch that on television.
Yeah, I sit by the old boob tube and
Maybe we
Right.
can.
put your feet up and
We might do a special cow program from over there at the when they're over at the Humphrey
cow program like moo.
over at the Humphrey Dome over there when the Vikes play the Packers. We might do a program from the
Hey, really?
from the
To go in the parking lot,
from the parking lot there.
have a cold brew and a little cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more question. How about the Bears? I guess I got a couple of roommates that are Bear
Yeah.
fans.
I like the Bears as a second team or a third team in pro football. I also like the New York Giants.
Do you really?
Yes.
On the way down myself.
Yeah.
How about those Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah.
Well,
used to be the St. Louis
they're all
Cardinals.
right too.
You got that new place kicker who's gonna be quarterback this year, I guess. The new place kicker from last year is gonna be quarterback
Yeah.
this year.
Well,
Hey,
that's
are you
good.
in college?
No, I graduated.
Oh, sounds like you're into sports.
No, big time. I'm a sports writer,
Oh, really?
Well, that's good.
so up and coming things for me.
Yeah.
Good.
But
Well, watch them Vikings this year because with that Warren Moon, they could be in the playoffs.
how about the Pack though?
Yeah, they'll
We
be.
disagree
They're
that you don't we, Joe?
they're gonna have to beat the Pack if they want to make it.
Huh?
Yeah, it'll be close this year.
Right, you got
It's always close between the Vikings and the
Fred,
Twins.
what's your vision, anyways?
My what?
Fred's vision.
Vision?
Fred.
My vision?
Yeah.
Fred,
What
what's
do you
your
mean?
vision
As
of the?
far as winning the Super Bowl?
No, the world. The
Oh.
world vision.
Oh, world vision. Well, I don't know how to answer that one.
Well, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering what you think about the Brewers' chances at the World Series this year.
Well, as you know, the Twins will probably beat them again. So their chances probably aren't very good because they got to play the Twins too many times.
I don't think the Twins will beat them because the Twins haven't been doing that well lately. But
They
He's right, too.
just pitched no hitter the other day.
I was there.
You were?
Yeah.
You get any autographs or anything?
No, I didn't. But it was a really exciting game. But
Was the place packed?
huh?
Was it packed?
Excuse me?
Big crowd or little crowd?
It was not very big. It was like 1,788 or something like that.
1,700.
17,000. Sorry.
Oh,
And I kind of think the White Sox will be able to pull it out for the Central Division. But who do you guys think will win the NBA championship?
well, I think the Chicago Bulls will probably pull that one out.
Yeah, they did pretty good last night.
I think that Seattle and New York will be in the finals, and Seattle will probably win.
I hear
What?
they're going to try and bring back what's his name for the playoffs.
Who?
The old Chicago Bulls guy.
Jordan? Michael Jordan?
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. He was like,
$1 million a game.
he's playing in the minor leagues, and he's like not doing very well because all of his hits are singles, and he's only had one double, and I don't know. I don't think he should be playing baseball. I think he should have stuck to basketball.
Well, we're right here on Sports Live, a Cow Report.
Yes.
And
Well,
of course, that's what this program is for. Fred's an expert in many areas.
Oh, no. Not
Sounds
quite.
like you're up on these sports, though, Fred. I didn't know
I
you were
do like
aficionado on
sports.
that.
I do like sports.
Yeah.
but I think you're wrong about the Twins, sir.
I think he's wrong, too.
I don't think
Yeah.
the Twins are going to do it.
Well, we hope so. All we can do is hope.
Okay.
Well, thanks for calling in, caller.
Yep. Bye.
Fred, isn't it wonderful that we can talk
Yeah.
sports and on one hand, and then the second later talk about Nelson Mandela?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've got something. We've got another caller waiting,
Yeah.
Fred, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you got something that's short and sweet.
Here we got from the publication of the American cause, putting America first. National Standard, March 26, Congress passed Gold's 2000 Education Bill, sponsored by Senator Edward Kennedy. This bill creates a new bureaucracy called the National Education Standards and Improvement Council that will use the carrot of federal aid to oversee the adoption of academic standards by the states. Thousands of experts are already working to decide the basic knowledge and skills every U.S. student should have, reports USA Today. But in reauthorizing existing education programs, Congress previewed the sort of standards the government may peddle when it blocked an amendment by Representative Mel Hancock that would have denied federal tax dollars to agencies encouraging or supporting homosexuality as a positive lifestyle alternative. Warned Robin Kane of the Gay and Lesbian Task Force it would threaten all AIDS education except those that promote abstinence. Incidentally, Congressman Steve Gunderson spoke and voted against that amendment, the Hancock amendment.
Well, that's amazing, Fred. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I've got a question here. First of all, how do you coordinate your wardrobe with the lights behind you?
Well, it takes many hours of study, and you have to feed everything into a computer, and then you get a printout, and then.
Okay. Now here's my other question. Do you think that the Cubs could beat the Bears?
The Cubs could beat the Bears.
I know that one's baseball and one's football, but they're both so miserable.
Well,
I was wondering, who do you think would win?
Well, that's kind of like asking if Mighty Mouse could beat Superman.
Mighty Mouse.
Well.
Okay, and then here's another question. You were talking about homosexuals and all that. Do you think that homosexuals should be allowed to go to prom?
To the prom?
Yeah.
Which one?
Any prom, really, because that's a big issue right now, and with prom season and not allowing homosexuals to go together and lesbians and stuff. And so I was wondering, what your standpoint would be on that. Do you allow it, because you're condoning it, and and whose parents want,
Well, we don't really have any control over it, and it's probably, I would say, just let peer pressure rule on that deal. If they can handle the cat calls and everything at a prom, because I'm sure they'll get plenty of it.
Okay, and don't those, okay, now, this is really, but is that a really humongous screen behind you, or is it just like, does it look different from a viewer standpoint, or is that really like...
What we do is we take a special pill before the show, and Fred and I are shrunk down to about this size, and then we're transposed onto a TV screen. And that's what you get. It's all computerized and digitized.
Well, that's kind of neat. Okay, well, that was just all my questions. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye now.
Are you still there, caller? Whoops.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering why you have like a rack of bullets on you, and it looks like you kind of... No. Yeah, that's all you have. Why do you have on your chest?
So you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh. These here?
Yeah.
Well, I said I'd wear these until Nelson Mandela got elected, so they'll probably be one of the last times you see him on the show. But this is the Nelson Boom Boom Mandela Memorial Bullet Belt. You can get them at any kind of Army surplus stores nationwide.
Okay. And I was wondering what your hats say, both of you guys.
Mine says Still Chainsaws, and Fred's is Post 55 American Legion.
Post 53, but that's just the hat. I'm wearing the hat. I'm not speaking for the Post.
Okay.
And do you think either of you will run for mayor or any public office in the time to come?
I think Fred was going to make a run for mayor there, but he never did make it.
No, I'm not going to. No.
Didn't he run a while ago?
Yeah.
I ran for city council, and I didn't do too well, so that's all right.
Okay, well, I would have voted for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was old enough.
Well, thanks, call for calling. We got to wind her up here.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Well, there you have it, Fred. Another exciting program of the Cow Report.
Yes.
Right here, live from Cable Channel 11. And we want to thank all the viewers, and there's the credits. And you can see it's produced by Chuck Lee and all that other stuff. Chris and Cliffy Kanamaki, the Siamese Twins of Engineering. And Sam Giancana on the camera. And David Ferry on the camera. And this was a Time Redeemer production, copyright 1994. So we'll see you again right here
Very
next
good.
Monday night. Good evening. Good afternoon.
You know that that
organize all the sharks into a union.